The excavation team sees a pipe going inside the ground between the dense forest. It was quite a surprise because where he stood, he was an old, dead young child. Jasco tree, plant and grass had completely covered. It was decided to send night vision camera to see inside the pipe. When the camera went in, a very large tunnel Manzar was captured after going down about 30 meters. The 7th March 2 was the day of Thousand Athene, and the excavation team was about to see something unique, 30 meters below the ground close to South Poland's city of Lublin. This tunnel, when the camera was rotated, there's a surprise on them. Derails appeared. What was the work of Derails here right now? He was in the same dilemma. So a minecart standing far away made their Twazo by his side. When local authorities came to know, they brought a map of a lost tunnel in the era of World War II. Malum Pays Tunnel was built around 80 years ago in World War II rounds, and for the past several years, local authorities have been looking for the same tunnel. The entrance of this tunnel was closed by keeping heavy stones, beyond which years of soil and gambus also wiped out the marks of its entrance. But from inside, these tunnel Hubahu was matching the tunnel that appeared on the map. Seeing the track and minecarts inside it, it seems that these used to store stuff in the World War II era. Often iron stuff present in the tunnel was rusted. From here, tools like belcha, drill, bits and kudal met in the same condition as they were kept by soldiers of North G military 80 years ago. During World War II, there was a fight with countries like North G, Germany and Japan, of mulks like the US and the UK. During this time, Hitler's army had built thousands of underground bunkers. The start was, of course, by Hitler, but later the Allied forces also began to use underground tunnels and bunkers. Bunkers used to have a lot of strategic importance during World War II, and these were intended for both defenses and offense. That is, somewhere their work would have been avoided by enemy attacks, somewhere they used to work to attack the enemy. These bunkers used to protect the enemy's airstrikes and artillery shell, and fram the soldiers a secure base. Defensive bunkers would have been disowned on the front line in such a way that they could stop enemy attacks, such as Germany's Atlantic Wall, which was a strong blockage against attacks from the Allied forces. Also, some bunkers were used for planning, from where commanders managed their operations secretly. So much underground bunkers and war rooms were constricted in World War II that even today it is not possible to count them, because thousands of these still have a burial inside the ground today. The Allied powers and Axis powers in the World War II were said to have spent so much on the undergrowth bunkers that iron and cement were exploited all over the world. According to an estimate, the cost of nearly $500 billion to $1 trillion came in making all these bunkers. Yoon understood that 20 Salajung, a US-based Afghanistan, used to spend $300 million a day, so $460 million daily in making bunkers in World War II is the cost that just happened in construction. It is also difficult to get an idea of the expenses of manpower, logistics, and ammunition in World War II. Let's go to the seclusion memories of history and know about Chan bunkers. The Atlantic Ball was a huge coastal defense system that Nazi Germany built during World War II. These spread over Europe's coastline for 2,400 miles or 3,800 kilometers, which was intended to avoid attacks of Allied forces from the ocean. Darmians of 1940 to 1944 were made. This system consisted of thousands of bunkers, ammunition depots and forts. At that time, Hitler was also occupied by many areas of France. A part of the Atlantic Wall was also spread across Normandy, the region of northern France where the Longues-Sarmer-Nami artillery batteries were installed. These bunkers were die-zoned to face heavy bombardments and deliver defensive fire at the time of attacks. Speaking of Norway, the lower part of it could come from North Atlantic Ocean to stop the Allied forces. Just then, Hitler had here even some parts of the Atlantic Wall rattled. Here used to protect fortress naval routes like Kristiansand. Besides, the Netherlands was also in the control of Nazi at that time, and here thousands of Safeni and Nami bunkers were built at the North Atlantic's cost. This entire Atlantic Wall of Nazi Germany, comprising underground bunkers, depots, tunnels, artillery batteries and forts, was built by a company of Fritz Todd Nami, a German engineer whose 60,000 workers, most of whom were prisoners, were forced to build all these structures in just 2 to 4 years. Even today, some parts of the Atlantic Wall exist as historical monuments, which give a sense of the engineering and expenses of World War II. When Hitler created the Atlantic Wall, At that time, the WAMO of the Allied powers was not even in omen about how difficult they will face to move forward. Then there was a sentence in 1942 that opened the eyes of America and Britain. Canadian forces, which were part of the Allied powers, planned an attack on DAP territory in France. GIS is remembered today as DAP Red. The purpose of this attack was to understand the Atlantic Wall built by Hitler. How does it work? These strong concrete bunkers made the Allied attack fail miserably. The Allied troops who were trying to land on the coastline became a victim of Nazi Germany's powerful crossfire. These were a huge blow for the Allied forces, because they didn't have so much of the Atlantic Wall firmly. In this mission, 6,000 Allied soldiers came. GIS. Out of that, 3,600 either died or became a prisoner at the hands of Nataji. After the Deer Parade, the Allied forces understood that if they had to attack Hitler's Hakumat, they too would have to invest a lot in planning bunkers and defensive systems. So, including the United Kingdom, France, and the Soviet Union, there were plenty of expenses in the construction of bunkers and tunnels in Canada. Churchill War Rooms was an underground complex built in London. These were the headquarters of British Prime Minister Winston Churchill during World War II. These complexes especially was therefore disowned that Germany could be defamed by airstrike. France's Maginot Line that was created after World War Van here also made new underground bunkers and tunnels. France was sure that these systems would protect them, but Germany in World War II captured France by the way of Belgium while sidelines the Maginot Line. Japan in the second corner of the world, who was supporting Hitler in World War II, even hundreds of underground bunkers were dug out. Under one of the limits, the entire network was created, including hidden artillery positions, storage rooms, and living quarters. These tunnels were used for surprise hat attacks at the time of the attack of Allied forests. Open air bunkers and tunnels were more massive in Penchita, where thousands of Japanese soldiers live in position for defense and resistance. These defensive systems were die-zoned to delay the Allied invasions and to death as much as possible. The engineering of bunkers that are built of all the countries during World War II is no less than a miracle. Then the rust time would be at the risk of every passing long airstrike, along with everything from the top and all these challenges. And in the construction of underground tunnels, workers also died of suffocation. But despite all these challenges, thousands of bunkers were not just made, but a lot of these are so hidden under the ground till date, in the same condition. Especially those who were built in Axis power countries. Because after World War II, when their secret ended from there, at that time, either soldiers from there ran off the bunker's entrance or died inside the same. So no one came to know which bunker was made of which location. There was a way to find out the location of all these bunkers and tunnels, and that was the secret documents present with Hitler's government. But they were also either burned or hidden in a place that only knew the one who hid these, and especially these bunkers would be made by. That is, in natural terrain, these are made such that no one knows that there is a military bunker here. This is why these bunkers remained hidden after the war. Special ventilation systems for underground bunkers were created, who would carry the fresh air inside the bunker, and carbon dioxide outside. Theatziliter Adolf Hitler resorted to several bunkers in his tour state, were famous Zamana bunkers used through them. Egel Nest, also called Kilstein House. These were made for the secret meetings and relaxation of Nazi leadership on the Uchai of 6,000 feet in Ober-Salzburg area, Germany. Using concrete and granite, it had a peculiarity like bomb-proof. Hitler's second famous bunker is popularly known as the fuel bunker. These bunkers, which were made in 1944, were not just bunkers, but these were the entire headquarters. The bunker was designed in such a way that he was inflated with Allied bombing and artillery. Here by Hitler, passed his last day and ended his life on 30th April 1945. No part of this bunker today also looks on the surface. But this place has been a dark chapter of World War II's histories. Now let's talk about a bunker from Hitler where he passed the most day of war. These Wolf Lair named bunker seems less but no Fort more, which is present in the middle of the forest in North Germany. Inside it, Hitler's bedroom and offices were present all around him. The roof of its concrete was made about 7 meters thick. The thick layer of a gravel used to make the entire Fort Numa bunker mahfuz with airstrike and bombing. The door of a thick steel sheet that also protected from a chemical attack. These bunkers looking like an Egyptian tomb were so strong that even today it is not possible to destroy it, and the security so that there is not a single window kept in it. Here was a special ventilation system that would circulate the fresh air inside the entire bunker. But despite so much security, this bunker was invigorated in the landscape of the jungle. The same tree plants were planted above it by putting soil on its roof, which were present in the forest around. Because of this from above when a ship passes, it does not doubt equal enough that here the headquarter of Hitler is present below. Allied power, i.e. USA, UK, Canada, and rest of the forces plan years to break Nazi Germany's strong defensive bunkers and Atlantic Wall. More than 1,056,000 troops, 5,000 ships, and 11,000 aircrafts were used to combat the Hitler-made Atlantic Wall. It was the day of 6th June, 1944, is remembered in the name of Jesko D-Day. On this day, Germany faced Allied forces from the bankers and artillery of the Atlantic Wall, but their planning and resources did not remain as effective. Allied airstrike and para-to-paras fought a lot of German communication and defenses. Allied forces suffered a lot of damage initially, but he finally managed to break Germany's Europe pay control. Also, you guys will like and share a lot. You are extremely thankful to the loving comments of people. Noise in the next great video.